the career-ending terror nobody wants to name. In professional golf, there's one word that strikes more fear than any other. Yips. Not injury, not scandal, the yips. It's a condition so terrifying that players refuse to say the word out loud, as if naming it might summon the curse. They'll say they're struggling with tempo or working on mechanics, but everyone knows what they really mean. The yips are an involuntary muscle spasm or mental block that makes simple golf shots, usually putts or chips, suddenly impossible. Players who've mastered precise motor control find their bodies betraying them. Hands twitch, wrists jerk. The putter face opens uncontrollably. A 3-foot putt becomes a nightmare. The truly horrifying part, nobody knows how to fix it. The yips have ended more professional careers than injuries, yet golf treats it like a shameful secret rather than a legitimate medical condition deserving serious research and support. It's not just mental. The science is terrifying. For decades, golf dismissed the yips as purely psychological. Weak-minded players who couldn't handle pressure. Just get over it. The science tells a completely different story. Neurological research suggests the yips may be task-specific focal dystonia, a movement disorder where the brain's motor control system misfires during highly practiced, repetitive movements. Pianists who suddenly can't play scales. Surgeons whose hands tremor during specific procedures. The brain rewires itself through excessive repetition, and those neural pathways become corrupted. Professional golfers hit thousands of putts using identical motions. The brain creates deeply ingrained motor programs. But sometimes, those programs become corrupted. The pathway that once produced smooth strokes now triggers involuntary muscle contractions. The more you try to execute correctly, the worse it gets. The yips may be progressive. Players start with minor twitches on short putts, then gradually lose control over longer putts, then chips, then full swings. The condition spreads through their game, destroying every shot requiring precision. The psychological component makes it worse. Once you've experienced the yips, fear of recurrence creates a feedback loop. Anxiety triggers muscle tension, which increases spasms, which increases anxiety. Players become trapped where thinking about the yips makes them worse. The legends who fell to the curse. The yips don't discriminate. They've destroyed some of golf's greatest players. Ben Hogan, one of the most technically sound ball strikers ever, developed the yips late in his career. A man who could work miracles with irons became unable to make 3-foot putts. He tried different putters, grips, stances. Nothing worked. He eventually stopped competing because he couldn't trust his stroke. Tom Watson won 8 major championships. Then the yips came. Short putts became terrifying. He'd stand over 2-footers, visibly shaking. He tried croquet-style putting, belly putters, arm lock methods, desperately searching for something to bypass corrupted neural pathways. He never fully recovered. Bernhard Langer has fought the yips for 4 decades. He's changed his putting stroke at least 6 times, using radically different techniques to trick his brain. That he's still competitive proves the yips never really leave. Sam Snead, winner of 82 PGA Tour events, developed the yips so severely he resorted to side saddle putting, standing beside the ball and stroking croquet style. One of history's greatest players reduced to a putting method that looked ridiculous because his brain could no longer execute normally. Johnny Miller walked away in his prime partly because of chipping yips. A player who once shot 63 in a US Open final round quit because he couldn't trust his hands on 20-yard shots. These aren't weak-minded players. These are champions who encountered a condition no amount of practice or willpower could overcome. The Tour's shameful silence. The PGA Tour treats the yips like a dirty secret. There's no official support system, no medical resources, no research funding, no acknowledgement this career-ending disorder exists. Players suffer in silence because admitting to the yips is seen as weakness. Sponsors might flee. Fans might lose confidence. Better to pretend everything's fine while your career crumbles. The Tour could establish a yips research initiative, partnering with neurologists and sports medicine specialists. They could provide confidential treatment resources. They could destigmatize the condition by acknowledging it's a legitimate neurological disorder, not a character flaw. They do none of this. Why? Because the yips are bad for business. Watching elite players struggle with simple putts isn't entertaining. It's uncomfortable. The Tour would rather pretend the yips don't exist than confront that golf's repetitive nature may cause neurological damage. Equipment companies are complicit. Every few years, someone releases a yips-proof putter. These sell for hundreds of dollars to desperate players. Most don't work. Companies profit from desperation, offering false hope instead of solutions. The amateur epidemic nobody discusses. The yips aren't confined to professionals. Millions of amateur golfers struggle with the condition, often without realizing what they're experiencing. They think they're just bad at putting. In reality, they may have a neurological condition requiring medical intervention. Weekend golfers who've played for decades can suddenly find themselves unable to execute simple putts. The social stigma is devastating. Golf is often a business and networking tool. Imagine putting in front of clients while your hands shake uncontrollably. The humiliation drives people away entirely. There's almost no accessible treatment. Most amateurs can't afford specialized sports psychologists or neurological consultations. They're left to suffer alone, trying home remedies that rarely work. Youth players are increasingly vulnerable. Junior golf has become hyper-competitive, with kids hitting thousands of balls weekly, developing repetitive motion patterns at younger ages, potentially creating conditions for early-onset yips. Youth programs rarely address the risk, the cures that don't work. The golf industry is full of proposed yip solutions. Most are garbage. Changing putters might work temporarily by giving your brain a novel stimulus, but the effect fades. Your brain recognizes the task, and the corrupted program reactivates. Grip changes and stance modifications follow the same pattern. Temporary relief through novelty. But once the new technique becomes automatic, the yips return. You're not fixing the underlying issue. You're delaying it. Visualization techniques and breathing exercises might reduce anxiety, but they don't address focal dystonia. If the yips have a neurological component, positive thinking won't rewire your brain. Some players try beta blockers to reduce anxiety symptoms. They can help if your yips are anxiety-driven, but they won't fix dystonia. Others experiment with hypnosis, acupuncture, and biofeedback with minimal success. The most extreme solution is complete technique overhaul. Some players abandon conventional putting entirely, switching to methods so radically different the brain treats them as new motor tasks. This sometimes works, but you're not curing the yips, you're escaping them. Even then, the yips can adapt. Players who successfully switch techniques sometimes develop yips in the new method after enough repetitions. The chipping yips, the other silent killer. While putting yips get most attention, chipping yips may be more devastating. With putting, you can grind it out. Chipping yips can cost you 5 or 6 strokes in seconds. Chunk a chip, scull the next one across the green, and you've turned a routine up and down into a triple bogey. Chipping requires more complex motor coordination than putting. When that coordination breaks down, results are catastrophic. Players start sculling chips over greens or chunking them barely off the fringe. Every greenside shot becomes terrifying. The fear spreads. Players start avoiding certain shots. They'll put from off the green. They'll aim for different areas to minimize chipping situations. Their entire strategy warps around avoiding shots they can't control. Chipping yips often develop from a traumatic event. A player chunks an easy chip in a crucial moment, and the brain files that as a threat. Now, every similar situation triggers anxiety, causing more mistakes, reinforcing the pattern. The full swing yips, golf's rarest nightmare. Full swing yips exist and they're absolutely career-ending. Players lose control of their driver or irons mid-swing. The club face opens dramatically at impact. Shots that should go straight fly wildly off target. Full swing yips are rarer, probably because full swings involve more body parts and less isolated fine motor control. But when they occur, they're devastating. You can survive putting yips. You can't survive driving yips. It often starts with a specific club or shot shape. A player develops driver yips, but can hit fairway woods fine. The brain's motor control system fails for specific movements while leaving similar ones intact. This proves the yips are neurological. Pure anxiety would affect all shots equally. Some players develop trigger yips. Hands fire through impact too early, losing all power and accuracy. Others develop block yips, where they can't release the club and push everything right. Both make professional golf impossible. What it all means. The yips are golf's darkest secret, a condition that's destroyed countless careers while the industry looks away. It's not a mental weakness. It's likely a neurological disorder caused by extreme repetition of golf demands, and the tour's refusal to treat it seriously is negligent and cruel. Players suffering from the yips deserve medical support, research funding, and acknowledgement they're dealing with a legitimate condition. Instead, they get shame, silence, and snake oil cures. The yips reveal an uncomfortable truth. The pursuit of perfection through endless repetition may be neurologically damaging. The same practice habits that create elite ball strikers might also corrupt the neural pathways controlling those movements. Until the golf industry takes the yips seriously, funding real research, providing medical support, and destigmatizing the condition, players will continue suffering in silence, watching their careers end not from lack of skill, but from a curse nobody understands. The next time you see a player struggling over a short putt, trembling and uncomfortable, remember,